Hi Sam. How are you today?
Hi Alex. I'm doing well, thanks. What are we learning today?
Today, we're learning the word.
Übrigens.
It's a really useful word.
Übrigens.
What does it mean?
Well,
Übrigens.
means by the way or incidentally in English. It's often used to add additional information. The most common meaning is by the way.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Are there any false friends I should watch out for?
Yes, be careful. Some English speakers might confuse it with the word.
Incidentally.
Because they sound similar, but
Übrigens.
is more casual and often used in everyday conversation.
Got it. What about the grammar of?
Übrigens.
Great question.
Übrigens.
Is an adverb, so it doesn't have a gender or plural form. You can use it in various sentences. For example, you might say,
Übrigens, ich habe einen neuen Job.
which means, by the way, I have a new job.
So it just stays the same.
Exactly. It remains unchanged. You can also use it in different contexts, like in the past.
Übrigens, ich habe gestern einen neuen Job gefunden.
Which means, by the way, I found a new job yesterday.
That makes sense.
Now let's talk about where.
Übrigens.
Comes from. It originates from the Old High German word,
Briga.
which means over or beyond. It's evolved over time to mean by the way.
That's fascinating. I love learning about word origins.
It is interesting, isn't it? The way words transform can tell us a lot about culture too. For instance, it reflects how people used to share additional information casually.
How do you break down?
Übrigens.
Is it a compound word?
Good observation.
Übrigens.
Isn't a compound word, but we can still break it down. The prefix
Über.
means over or above, and the suffix
Igens.
relates to the concept of being related to something. So, we can think of it as implying over something else, which leads to the idea of adding information.
So, it's like adding a layer of information on top.
Exactly. That's a perfect way to visualize it.
Are there any similar words to?
Übrigens.
Yes. There are many related words. For instance, words starting with
Über.
include,
Überraschung.
meaning surprise, which combines
Über.
with,
Raschung,
meaning to catch. Another one is,
überzeugen,
meaning to convince.
What about other endings?
Sure. Words with the same suffix
eigens,
include,
mündig,
meaning adult or of age, and
lebenslang.
meaning lifelong.
That's a good way to group them.
Exactly. And you can also think about similar phrases like,
Übrigens gesagt,
meaning by the way said, or
übrigens auch.
meaning by the way also.
Can you give me some real-life situations where I can use
Übrigens.
Absolutely. First, at work, you could say,
Übrigens, ich habe die Präsentation vorbereitet.
which means, by the way, I have prepared the presentation. Can you try making a similar sentence?
Übrigens, ich habe die E-Mail geschickt.
Perfect. Now, what about at a cafe? You could say,
Übrigens, der Kaffee hier ist sehr gut.
meaning by the way, the coffee here is very good.
Übrigens, das Essen ist lecker.
means, by the way, the food is delicious, right?
Exactly. And lastly, while traveling, you might say,
Übrigens, das Museum hat heute geschlossen.
which means, by the way, the museum is closed today.
Übrigens, wo ist die nächste U-Bahn-Station?
Great sentence. That means, by the way, where is the nearest subway station?
Is there a way to remember that?
Übrigens.
Is an adverb.
Yes. A good hint is that it ends in,
Gens.
which is common for adverbs in German. You can also visualize it as a signpost that points to additional information along your conversation path.
That's a good image.
Now, let's talk about how to use it.
Übrigens,
Can be used in both formal and informal situations but is more common in casual conversations. Typical phrases include,
übrigens, ich wollte dir sagen.
meaning by the way, I wanted to tell you.
Are there any confusing words I should be aware of?
Yes, don't mix it up with,
Übrigen,
which means remaining or leftover. Their meanings are quite different, so context is important.
Can you give me some example sentences with
Übrigens.
Sure. Here are a few.
übrigens, ich habe das Buch gelesen.
Means, by the way, I read the book. Another example is,
Übrigens, sie hat ihre Prüfung bestanden.
meaning by the way, she passed her exam.
I get it.
And here's a question.
Übrigens, hast du schon gefrühstückt?
Which translates to, by the way, have you already had breakfast?
That's useful.
Let's do a quick recall check. What does
Übrigens,
mean?
It means by the way, right?
Yes. Great job. How do you use it in a sentence about work?
Übrigens, Ich habe die Präsentation vorbereitet.
Perfect. What's the origin of the word?
It comes from Old High German, meaning over or beyond.
Exactly. Can you give me a word that starts with?
Über.
Überraschung.
Right again. And one last question, can you make a sentence using?
Übrigens.
While traveling.
Übrigens, wo ist die nächste U-Bahn-Station?
Spot on. To summarize, today we learned about the word
Übrigens.
which means by the way. It's an adverb that adds extra information to conversations. Keep practicing it in different contexts.
Thanks, Alex. I really enjoyed today's lesson.
You're welcome, Sam. I'm glad you found it helpful. See you next time.